How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Petty, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And yeah, so today we're gonna talk a little bit about punishing Grey Raven and what happened with their launch. So if you guys have been paying attention or looking on the App Store, these guys had a pretty tumultuous launch in global. And it's a little surprising after playing the... I'm not even sure which version I was able to play overseas. I think it might have been the closed beta test that was available if you had gotten into the... or got the APK. It wasn't even account locked or anything like that. Because gameplay-wise, this game's really satisfying. The combat's really good. It's not overly repetitive. I'm not a big fan of the, okay, your skills are gonna pop up in random order and you kind of have to play a mini game of Candy Crush to combine the really effective moves for certain situations. But gameplays-wise, stories-wise, it's pretty solid. So, what happened? Couple of things, and it was a big enough thing that the developers themselves put out a blog post about it. A 2-page blog post. And for a lot of people, it was not the most satisfactory response and didn't really inspire confidence. So it's yet to bounce back. It is almost similar in the same line of what happened with King Sense, but this game has been already wildly more successful than King Sense was. If you compare the downloads on the two, I think King Sense is around 50,000, and these guys are sitting around 500,000 downloads. And they got a little bit review bombed, just a little bit. And personal feelings, it's disappointing. I wanted to see this game do very, very well. I like the story. I like the gameplay. But there were some decisions made that I completely understand why the community is as upset as they are. And it's hard to tell if the game's going to have a really strong future past this. So I would caution people from dumping a bunch of money into it right now and probably kind of wait to see how everything plays out over the next couple of weeks to make sure that you're not investing in a game that I'm not going to say is going to be dead, but it ain't looking good, champ. So let's get into some of the stuff that actually happened and why the community was so upset and in turn let down by the developers' response. First thing that I want to touch on is we're just going to dig into the monetization stuff. And there's a couple tabs on this one, so we're going to kind of just go piece by piece on this one. First things first is there was a big snafu with the monthly battle pass system. Essentially, the minimum purchase for $5 or so, I think, would essentially not get you enough. You would just be a little short of being able to get their battle pass, so you were required to spend more and it essentially waste money a little bit to be able to get the monthly battle pass. And the proposed fix for this system was to just make a second battle pass for those 28 resources and just make it a worse battle pass. They're still having the original battle pass for the 30 rainbow cards or whatever they're calling them. But that's not a great look. For it to be such a small difference, I would think that they would be able to just go, okay, well, because of this conversion issue and everything, we'll just make the battle pass cost this, instead of making a second worse battle pass for people to buy instead, if they don't want to overspend to get the real one. That Y'all messed up a little bit on that one. That I really don't understand how you guys couldn't have just taken the 2 rainbow card hit on the battle pass. I remember seeing the math somewhere on Reddit to where like this was the equivalent of a difference of 35 cents. For a marketing and PR front, y'all probably should have just ate that 35-cent loss on the battle pass. Making a second one that is worse to make up for the fact that you can't just spend the exact amount to get the battle pass. Not a great look, but y'all tried. You did. You just made a bad battle pass for people to get if they didn't want to spend the money to get the actual one. It's not great. Not great. Second monetization issue. And there's a couple other things that we're going to get into that can potentially tie into monetization stuff. We're just going to talk about the money stuff first and then get into that stuff. So depending on your region, you might be paying a lot more for in-game items versus other versions. Now, the very cheapest version of the game is the Chinese and Taiwan version. It is cheaper than the global version. It is far cheaper than the Korean or Japanese one. I think, and I might be wrong about this, so don't hold your boy to 100%. I'm pretty sure that the Japanese version is the most expensive. And they're big mad. Big mad. And so are the Korean players. And kind of rightfully so. It's hard to understand the line that a lot of these companies will give where like, bro, it's just conversion rates. It's just taxes from those reasons. That's why you're getting a more expensive game. Let's just put that to a side for a second, okay? So, a lot of these games are out from anywhere for 6 months to a year in their original countries before they get ported anywhere else, okay? The developer, in that time period, is making back, and then profit, what the cost of the game was. No company's going to have their business structured in such a way that it's going to be out for 6 months to a year and run a deficit that entire time. Just, it would be insane if they were doing that. It would be super selfless if they did that, but not a great marketing or business strategy. It's a good way to go out of business or have to sell your product to someone like Tencent or Netmarble. It's just not a good look. Not a good look at all. So when they port them to other regions, they're going to have to spend a little bit of money with localization stuff, with marketing and advertisements for those regions. But the game coming out in those regions and them getting the revenue from that is more than going to pay for the cost of the translations, the cost for the ads, whatever chunk that the publisher themselves is taking. It's almost all profit at that point. Because again, most of these games are essentially paid for by the time they get ported to anywhere else. So the decision of the developers to charge more in other places is always going to be a bad PR move and is going to inflame communities, period. Period. If, and this is going to require a little bit of forethought, a little bit of math, but part of these companies' plans and business practices should be accounting for that and should either A, be charging more in their original countries so that they're paying the same rate that the other countries are going to have to pay themselves, which I know sounds a little bit rough, but a large portion of the people out there are not going to get past the base fact that you are charging $3 over there, but charging me $6. That's going to be a problem every single time. So these companies really need to understand that and factor that into how they're making some of these business decisions. It's not a great look to just be like, oh man, I'm sorry, you know what? This one's on Google or Apple. It just has nothing to do with us. You guys are aware of those systems. You are aware of those taxes. You are aware of the cost to operate on those platforms in other regions. You should be taking that into account and working that in and either charging less so that after the taxes and everything are added, they're still paying the same amount that the CN players would, and you guys just eat a little bit of that damage, or from the get-go, you make sure that you're setting your systems up so that it's going to be fair and equal across the board. Because everybody hates the tax man, but no one's going to care if that's the reason that they're paying a bunch more money. They're still going to blame you. Is that right and fair? It's a little bit of a gray area. Like I said, I personally believe that you guys should be taking that into account when you are putting all of your business plans together. And in my opinion, the game is most likely already paid for from the first year of it running in these other countries. It's hard to justify, bro. It's hard to justify. You're definitely in a tight position. But everyone has the internet except for people in China. We're going to know that happens. And people are going to be upset for it. So you need to have a plan for that. Because it's a little sad to see this continuing to be a thing. And it's also hard to believe that it is just taxes. Because nowhere in my mobile gaming history have I ever heard the Korean and Japanese versions of games always pay more than the rest. So if other people have figured out a way for that to not happen, and that not to just be considered the cultural norm at this point, or the economic norm, I should say, at this point, because no, they don't want to spend more money. They're mad right now. This should be worked out. This has to be something that's poorly managed on your guys' side, and I'm sorry, but that is how it comes off from looking at all this and looking at the different regions and what the players are saying. Yeah, y'all should probably work on that one. So that's the big money stuff, in my opinion. Might be missing one or two things, but for the most part, I feel that's the main money stuff. Now, directly adjacent to that, and kind of still a little bit tied to the money stuff, is the new player event, which, and in their defense, in their literal first line of talking about this in the dev post, they say that it requires an immediate apology, and that this is 100% a mess up, and it is 100% on them. But what essentially happened is that it wasn't completable as a free-to-play. You had to spend money to be able to complete that event. Now, am I going to say that no company should put out any events where people are required to spend? I kind of don't like that, but you do you, boo, but realize people are going to be mad. But an opening event, your literal novice entry event for new players, having to spend money on that to be able to complete it, it's a bad look. This happened with My Hero Academia as well, where the Azuwa event was something you 100% had to spend money on to be able to complete. It's just not feasible as a free-to-play player. You can have those higher bar things if you want. Don't make them your openers. Don't make them your novice entry-level events that you're trying to welcome new players with and giving them something to do. That's going to blow up on you 100% of the time. And that's what happened here. One of the things that players are a little upset about is that they kind of just said, hey, our bad, and you know what? We'll go ahead and extend the event But in their developer post, they even mentioned that, like, hey, even with us extending this event, it's still very likely that people aren't going to be able to complete it without spending money. That's on you, dog. You could have sent out compensation so that people would have been able to use those resources to complete the event in a free-to-play way. You could have extended it either by account so that people would have X number of days, and that would guarantee any free-to-play person would be able to do it. What they did was just extend it by a server-wide date. So everybody has up until this day to do it now, but it's still largely inaccessible to either people that started a little bit late, or just aren't gonna have the money or the resources to be able to complete it, even with the extension. So hope y'all learned something good on that one. You needed to learn something good on that one, because that's that one's a little bit rough. That people kind of are okay for being mad at that one, in my opinion. And it's it's an issue where the game itself is absolutely amazing, but from these initial snafus, there is zero confidence in the gacha community for this game's management, and they're going to be watching with a lot of criticism for anything that happens between now and the next month. If they don't really wow people and do something to build a good amount of trust with everyone, there's likely no hope that the perception of bad management is going to get restored. And if a large portion of the player base doesn't believe in the people that are running the show, it's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. It means y'all ain't going to get that much money. It means that you're not going to have that much money to throw at development. And the players that stay playing are going to be the ones that suffer the most. So I really hope that they take this opportunity and really try to get some goodwill with the community. And not necessarily just by throwing out some free stuff and hoping that that puts out all the fires. You need people to believe in you guys again, so that's gonna take a bigger commitment than just giving out some of the free resources that are essentially imaginary and you completely control and cost you nothing to give out. So I mean, good luck. Good luck. I want to see you guys bounce back from this, because mechanically, as far as the game itself is concerned, it's fun. They did a good job with the mechanics, and they're enjoyable. I hate to see the fact that the management is where most of the issue is and where most people's concerns are, and that is going to be enough to keep them from playing and supporting the game. So I hope you guys fix that. I'm wishing you the best on that one. And there was one other issue that I wanted to make sure that we touched on for this. How am I spacing on this right now? Oh, that's what it was. So they decided to give players a skin that was something that CN players got through playing the beta. And giving people these skins for certain novice rewards or completing X number of quests throughout the story mode, they then decided to go ahead and nerf the story mode rewards to, in some cases, literally half of what they were before. I don't care how good that skin is. That's always going to be taken on a pretty rough scale. Again, we have the internet. We know what the other versions have, and giving us half the rewards, but saying like, oh, but we're giving you this skin. Just not a good idea, y'all. Just not a good idea. And it's not like the CN players had to do anything crazy. They literally just had to be in the beta and they got this skin. So giving us something that, you know, we wouldn't have had access to because we didn't get to play in the CN beta, good move. I like that. Giving it to us at the cost of having the rewards that you get for going through the story and making it so that people have to play either a lot more or spend to be able to have the same resources to upgrade their characters, the skin's not that good. It's not that good. That is far more damaging than what they're getting out of it. So, couple of hard lessons for you guys this time. And again, I'm talking specifically to the Punishing Gray Raven developers on this one. Y'all had some tough pills to swallow on this one. I really hope that we see them learn from this, because in their developer blog, where they don't really say that they're making many changes for a lot of the issues we've talked about already, said we're going to take it all into consideration. I hope you're being honest, and I hope that your future moves make it so clear that they are sprung from you guys listening to all of these launch issues. If not, people are gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. People love to be mad, man. They're just gonna be big mads about this whole thing. So I really hope that you guys are able to put something forward to reestablish some faith in the community, because I do want to see this game succeed. I do think it is a mechanically sound game and deserves some praise on this front. And the game management stuff that is getting called out in the community right now is pretty deserved. So hopefully we see some healthy momentum from this and everybody gets a better game because of it. So that's kind of it on all the fires that, you know, we haven't touched on yet. So took us a couple of days to talk about this, because this all popped up a few days ago, but wanted to go ahead and circle around, talk about it, give our opinions and everything. If any of you guys are newer to the channel, we like to have these rather frank discussions and talk about some of the stuff with these games. If you want to support that, leaving a comment, leaving a like, hitting that subscribe button, all that stuff is really big. It is very easy for the YouTube algorithm to bully smaller channels. So leaving comments, leaving likes, all that stuff is very huge, and I very much appreciate it. And in that note, let me know what you guys are looking forward to right now. Is there any new games coming up? Is there any really good events coming up? Alloy is being added to Genshin Impact. I'm not going to judge you if that's the thing you leave a comment for, but I love you. But thank you guys so very much for stopping by today. I really appreciate them faces. Also, sorry for the super busted thumbnails that we're putting out right now. Adobe sub is down, and we're waiting on about a month and a half worth of work that we haven't been paid for. It's so fun starting your own business. So Adobe subscription should be up soon. Your boy is slamming, trying to get as much stuff done so that we can get paid out for that month and a half of work. 'Cause your boy needs to pay rent and, you know, eat food that's not from a food bank, because that's what we've been doing. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm sorry for the busted thumbnails that we're throwing together using free programs, and hopefully in the coming weeks we're able to get everything squared away and get everything back above board and killing it. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I appreciate them faces. We're going to go ahead and find the record button so we can end this smoothly. Alright, y'all. Deuces.